Good morning, everyone. Let me just get all these alerts off. There we go. It is Fantabulous Friday. Good morning, everyone. This is Carol Sue, aka Noni Boss. Really excited about Fantabulous Friday with
TwoSistas. Hey, everybody. It's Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0. Still freezing my acetabulum off. But that's okay. I have a little heater here. It's starting to warm up. When I came in here this morning and turned it on, it was 49.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's that. But no snow in sight, from what I understand.
Correct.
Yes. So I don't know. Will it be a white Christmas? Will it not be a white Christmas? That is to be seen.
Well, you know, I love a white Christmas, and that's about it. Then it can go away.
Yeah, I probably over the last 20 years, living in New England, I wouldn't say 20, probably the 3 that I've been here. So yeah, pretty close to 20 years. Same thing. There's nothing better than having snow on the ground. It just gives it that, hallmark, feel to the holiday. And then I don't mind it, around New Year's, because it kind of goes right into New Year's. But then really around after like January 2nd, it's got to go. Like I've had enough, so that is one of the beauties of being able to live where we live now and going to visit is, we hope somewhere within that we see some sort of flakes, not necessarily nor'easter, but some sort of flakes to give it that feeling. And then we, after about 10 days or so, peace out, like we got to get back to the warm weather. But, the other piece to that is, and I actually shared this yesterday, putting up decorations and lights outside or whatever, definitely a different feel to it. Because in New England, when John would come to do like the higher pieces of the lights, but I usually coordinated doing all that because it was part of the spirit of Christmas that I absolutely love. You try to like, is there one more day of Indian summer that I can, get the lights up pretty conducive to not having your fingers fall off and feel frozen. But there were so many years where that didn't occur because I'm one who, I don't like to put up the decorations too soon. I know a lot of people like to do it like at Thanksgiving or even get their outside lights up even before that time frame. But that's, to me, is part of the season, part of the atmosphere, part of that spirit that goes into everything, all making our holidays beautiful. So on the flip side of that, the last 3 years, obviously, we still decorate and whatnot, even though we actually spend the actual holiday up north. But it's a different feeling when you're putting up and you're like, as weird as it is, it's nice and it's fun. And to give you an example, in the community that we live in, I decorate the front with some neighbors, but I want to put extra lights up this year, and it was quite comical. It was a 4-day adventure, not full days, but because two different outlets were getting too much overload. We, it was like, do and plug them in, kind of like Clark Griswold on Christmas Vacation. And they would go on, and then we'd walk back in the house and then be off again. And then, we have to keep rearranging. So yesterday was my 4th and final day attempt at rerouting how the lights went in. And I finally think I got it figured out. So last night, we were out listening to an amazing Elton John cover band, and the launch. It was kind of crazy last night, I'll chat about that in a minute. But I started getting some messages from the neighbors saying, "Oh my God, it looks good. They're staying on." I'm like, "Yay, an accomplishment!" But and then I tried to imagine if that was the reverse, that I was doing the same thing, but it was up north. Can you imagine going out 4 days in a row trying to rewire, and with the coal? So, in that piece, although it feels weird to decorate for the holidays when it's warm outside, I was grateful, especially this year, because of kind of the craziness of all the lighting. But last night, I wanted to share a piece of that. It was just, this particular launch, SpaceX, that was going up. You could actually see, because the booster was actually being released, you can see that being returned to Cape Canaveral, which was cool. And there's a technical name for the tail part. to see the smoke. It literally was right over us. It was, and I'm trying to zoom in, and I've got a pretty powerful cell phone, especially to zoom in. So I did the best I could, but spectacular. It was a beautiful night. It was about 77 degrees. It was at 5:27. The sun was setting, as it was going up, and we were right on the river. It was, we weren't on the beach, but we were on the riverside. So if you can imagine, the river's here, and then you got two either sides. And one side ends up being on the ocean side with some land in between. So we were right over us, and it was absolutely just spectacular to see it in person. The crowd was excited. It was just such an exciting moment. And then, dancing the night away with this great Elton John cover band, which highly recommend. I can't wait to see them again. And at the same time was the launch of our company's Thrive Elite, which was exciting in and of itself. Trying to, get, the orders in, of course, because so many people, obviously we talked about that, they're on that weight loss perspective, but this is a new space for our company. So we basically broke the website. It just boom, and everything was down for about 2 hours, and finally closer to 9 o'clock, orders were going in more smoothly. So that was good. But yeah, it was just one of those, just crazy nights that's crazy day leading into a very, very big, spectacular weekend of just so many festivities that are going on here locally. And, at the same time, okay, it's Friday, Fantabulous Friday. How do we celebrate all of our wins? So, my biggest win was really, the excitement and really sharing about our new Thrive Elite line, which is the same as our Thrive Classic, only better ingredients specifically designed to actually attack that fat loss, fat in your body, and really help with weight loss, your weight loss journey, which is partnering, which we want you to partner with the lifestyle of eating good, healthy food. Obviously, you say, well, it's the holidays. Of course, yes, there's going to be cookies, there's going to be treats. So we're not telling you to deprive yourself. We are just saying, get prepared, because this was a pre-order launch. So the product we're hoping will be shipped out at the end of December, beginning of January, to really kick us off to 2023 in a much healthier way than we've ever been able to do. So we're really excited about that. So then I look back at my week for Fantabulous Friday. I say, okay, what are some things I had to renegotiate? Well, the lights, I already talked about that. Definitely the Christmas lights, and being my own version of Clark Griswold. So that was good. I renegotiated that. And then there was some, again, a lot of things I had to renegotiate, renavigate, like we all do. But you know what? I'm here to say, I did the best I could. Some things, I'm actually glad that this is probably one of the first times I'm not going into next week with a add-on from this week. So that in itself is a great accomplishment. How about you?
Oh, absolutely. Yesterday was kind of funny I just had to laugh because our internet service was out basically most of the day. I did have a podcast lined up, but I had to cancel that, and that worked out. Unfortunately, my guest was sick. But what was funny about it was on for 2 minutes. So, I would come downstairs, check a couple things. Anyways, long story short with that, it was out and then it wasn't out, and I'm up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm like, wow, I'm getting a really good workout in. But it was frustrating in the sense that I couldn't complete anything that I wanted to, but I just like, oh, well, there's nothing that I can do. But that just goes to show you. And even when it was down, oh, well, I got to wait for that. Well, let me check this real quick. And I would oh yeah, it's kind of like when the electricity goes out, when you rely on our Wi-Fi so much. And then of course we decided, it's out, we hadn't been grocery shopping in about a month and a half. And I'm like, we really need to go. So it was a good time to get that done. And, speaking of Thrive Elite, I go with a very detailed list. and we go to a few different places for some things that we like. So we're at BJ's in Wallingford, because that's near another store that we like to go to. And with everything happening this upcoming week, there's this, Gary loves his stuff, right? He's got to get Buenos, he's got to get this and that. So the baked goods section, which I absolutely love, I can't eat anything out of it, but I love looking at the displays, especially with all the Christmas cookie. I don't know, it just looks so there's this huge round cookie and brownie kind of plate, if you will, or a platter. Chocolate chip, like Gary tries to like, oh, look at that. And he goes to grab it, and I'm like, it's not on the list. Well, this would be good to have. And I said, why don't we wait? Because, Gary is one of those, well, let me just have one real quick. And he's always going by it and eating. I'm like, we are not getting that right now.
Especially when your company's not coming until Sunday. He would devour that in 2 days. Not maybe the whole thing, but the presentation would be a little disrupted.
But, I was kind of laughing. And as I'm thinking to myself, I'm kind of mumbled on my breath. I'm going to have to put you on Thrive Elite. And he's like, what? Like nothing.
Yeah. I'm super, super excited. I mean, the holidays is just that time. Like you say, you go to the store and the conveniences, and we live in a convenient society. But at the same time, you start thinking, wow, like, obviously for a big event, you need that extra stuff. And a lot of people haven't really, some people started some baking, but for the most part, usually, you want it as fresh as it can be. But now when you go to these stores, they're done up for you.
Yes, they are. And I thought it was a fair price. I don't remember what it was, but I remember looking at it thinking, well, that's it. That's a pretty fair price. Gary's like, I don't know about that price. And I'm like, well, you were just ready to buy it without even looking at it. I said, but think about it. The time that it takes to gather all the ingredients, make it, clean up and everything. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for the convenience.
Absolutely. And, and some people, just because we live in busier times, they just don't have that same time to bake. We generally will do baking with the grandkids, and we make it, a fun event. And we're really only focused now on a few cookies, because a lot of people are more mindful of their gut health, which we should. And we're going to get into chatting about the accountability of one of the things that you have to celebrate. You have to celebrate that you are willing to put your health and your wellness first. And, I had a thought process, because obviously it's been a very not only seasonal feel to the week, there's been a lot of political feel to the week as well, with, what transpired yesterday regarding, the obvious with Brittany Griner versus Wheeland, and, how that came about, and the trade-off and all of that. And a lot of people were really upset, because myself included was very upset, because it made our country look, in my opinion, made our country look weak and or vulnerable to other countries, where I do agree that even though Brittany Griner did break the law, she should have known the laws. It was pretty stupid. When you're traveling internationally, you should know that. Do I think it was kind of a flimsy charge? Absolutely. But I think it didn't really play out to the point of, you knew it was kind of a flimsy charge, but because of her demeanor and her spirit against the United States, a lot of people, it rubbed them the wrong way, and they, probably weren't as kind as they would be to someone that was a true patriot. Now, I'm not saying that, she's not a true patriot now. She certainly did not do herself any due justice beforehand, because she, and we live in a country that's free speech. So absolutely, she can say the horrible things she said about our country and her disdain. But I think that's why she was not getting any empathy, rightfully so, from my opinion. However, the piece that I relate to all of that with health and wellness, because everyone's like, well, you're talking about politics and you're talking about health and wellness. How does the two tie together? As a country, if we appear weak, we're better when we're stronger together. Because ultimately, are we a leader on the world stage to help other countries, especially countries that are going through some turmoil, or there is mistreatment of women, children, citizens? Absolutely, we're in the forefront of that. But the problem is if we don't appear strong and we're not strong, in order to be on that world stage, to be a powerhouse, you got to take care of your own. You've got to really be strong within our own country. And that's where the citizens have to make our country accountable. Like, if we're not accountable to our own citizens to make sure they're safe, that they're fed, that they're being treated correctly, that we're keeping drugs, the fentanyl is like out of control. We know that. So how does that relate to, our own health and wellness? Because again, we got to be accountable to ourselves. Our country has to be accountable. Our government has to be accountable. Our country has to be accountable, so that we are a true leader, and we're stronger when we are. Because once we have that strength, then we can go out and help other people. The same thing with our health. If we are not accountable to ourselves, because our spouses aren't going to do it, our kids, our grandchildren, our friends are not going to take care of our health and wellness. We are. And when we're stronger, and that we're making sure that our spectacular, irreplaceable, individualized machine of our bodies, our health and wellness, if we are taking care of that and are strong, we have the ability now to be better people, be better humans to other people. And I think that's where the correlation comes in. You want a strong country. You want to know that we are taking care of our own. And at the flip side of it, that same analogy applies to our own health and wellness. Our country is a machine with our citizens. Well, guess what? Our bodies are a machine with our own bodies. No one can feed, no one's force feeding us the cookies. No one's force feeding us the pizza, the pasta, the fat, the fast food, the fried. No one's doing that. At the same time, no one's telling you, don't deprive yourself. Those are things that are enjoyable food for some, not all. And some is, for health reasons, they can't eat those kinds of foods. But what I'm saying is, this should be a time, the seasons, the blessings that we have, that don't forget about the blessings that we are. And the way that we really do due diligence to ourselves is to take care of ourselves. We own it. We own what we live in. We own what we are. But we do a disservice when we talk the talk and don't walk the walk. And I think that's where the two apply.
I understand what you're saying, and it so correlates with our overall wellness. I do want to comment on what transpired yesterday. And first and foremost, I support the Constitution of the United States of America. I support free speech. Even though I may not agree with you, even though you're saying things like, why would that person say this? So I want to make that very clear. I do want to say I'm glad someone is home, but I have a problem with the whole situation. And the way I look at it, as we have someone who served our country, who the charges against it are totally frivolous. The guy didn't do anything, yet he's still here. And the way I looked at it is, and for me, this was a jaw-dropping moment. You have someone who hates the country, and it's her right to say what she wants to say. I support that. Okay, so I don't want to be misunderstood. I support the First Amendment, even though I don't agree with you. But then on the other hand, you have someone who served our country faithfully, dutifully. I hope I said that correctly.
Dutifully, yeah.
And he's been there for almost 4 years. So he has supported our country and defended it for people that she was transferred because of, and then she hates our country.
Right. And the other flip piece to that is, because a lot of people say, so are you saying then that, the White House, the news is saying, well, this was the only choice we had. Well, it's the same thing with our health and wellness. Yeah, there's sometimes you just say no. And while I understand about getting one back, in my opinion, the negotiations should have been dead on arrival. Either these two or there's no deal. And yeah, you'd have to make a sacrifice for her because that was the easy way out. No, and I think part of it was we wanted to make sure she got home for the holidays in the spirit of Christmas. No, sometimes you have to make tough decisions. Sometimes you have to say no to the chocolate fudge cake and say yes to, a piece of fruit. Or if my only choice is the chocolate fudge cheesecake, I have to just say no. It's not doing my health any good. So that's why I draw that correlation. I believe that there should have been no deal then, because then we would have been postured, then we would have been strong, then we would have been sending the message out to other countries. No, you're not just going to arrest some of our citizens for flimsy charges or what you believe to be serious charges, and then you're going to ask for like the #1 arms dealer in the world who was out to kill not only other human beings, was planning to plot against our own country. We're going to release them for some prima donna athlete who hates our country. So to me, and it's not a question of sacrificing her, it's about being postured, because sometimes you have to make those tough decisions. We know that. We know the government has to make tough decisions. We know administrations have to make tough decisions. But guess what? As individuals for our own health and wellness, we got to make them, because that's going to make us stronger and more disciplined. And maybe if they said, no deal, unless you include Wheeling, there's no deal.
Well, I think what adds salt to the injury, whatever we want to call it, is they're portraying her in a light as, she's a role model. She's a hero.
Absolutely not. Nope, no hero. She is no hero. I haven't seen the news today, so I don't know. I don't know what they're saying because I haven't even watched the news.
I have an issue with that. And
is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Oh God. Lord help us. Lord help us. I mean, she's not a hero. She's a stupid prima donna, and I'm going to go out there and say that she's a stupid. I'll say stunod. It's a nicer way of calling someone stupid. Individual who thought her status was so elite, very privileged. Everyone likes to use that flippant privilege word. Very privileged, backed by Black Lives Matter, backed by the WNBA. Could consider the elitist of Hollywood, whatever, and thought, what, I'm just going to do what I want, and they're going to get me out of it. And even if it was a stupid mistake on our part, it's pretty stupid. But the point being, as individuals, we have to make tough decisions for ourselves, because we're accountable to the person in the mirror. And sometimes you have to say no. And I think in this case, there should have been no deal. Unless they were bringing them both home, should have been no deal, because, and then to back it up, well, got to get her home for the Christmas holidays. Well, how about Wheeling? He hasn't been home for 4 years. And to add more salt to the wound, you've got the same meatball in the White House who disregards the border, where we were like 4,000% high in death rates with fentanyl, #1. And we just lost another agent, another Border Patrol agent who was chasing, a group of immigrants, illegal immigrants that are part of the cartel. He's got 2 small children and a wife, and guess what? He's never coming home for Christmas. So that was that whole cycle of what was going on. And, a lot of people, they can tell I was revved up because I wear my heart on my sleeve, especially when it comes to things like that. The atrocities to these agents and the disrespect, yet you were so pressured, President Biden, you were so pressured to get this propaganda, prima donna, country-hating individual back home to the US so she could have a nice Christmas. So I had to triumph over that. Like that was a very hard moment. And the moment that I triumphed over it was listening to Whelan's brother and the grace that he had. And I want to tell people, you can still be frustrated. You can still air out your disappointment in what is going on in DC and still have grace. I do have a lot of grace. And I'm not saying she's a human being that is not worthwhile. Every human being is worth something. It's worthwhile. Her life matters. But when you had these two other instances going on between the Border Patrol agent dying on Monday, and let's face it, the remarks of this White House, President Biden was asked directly why he was not, you're in Arizona and you're not going to go visit the border. Oh, I have more important things to do.
Well, don't even get me going on.
But my point being, this was our whole cycle. Yeah. I mean, we're battling our health and wellness. We're battling all this frustration, what's going on. And I think part of the problem for most people that are struggling with trying to like really absorb this bullshit is the fact that it's the comments he makes. No, there's more important things to do. Try telling that to that family now. They don't have a father coming home for Christmas, never coming home for Christmas, never being able to see them grow up. But yet you flaunt this stupid deal, and it was a dumb deal because it really showed how weak he really is and how weak we are as a country to have this moron in there who can't even be postured enough to make a negotiation for both. And guess what? If the negotiation was still only her, don't do the damn deal. Say, no, this is not good enough. No, she's going to have to sit there because God knows he's been sitting there for 4 years. She's only been there, what, a couple months?
About 10 months, I think, 9, 10 months.
However many it is. She's really had to endure a lot. Damn it. Well, what about him? And that, I think that's where most people, it's not settling well with people. And I understand why, because it's not settling well with me. But at the same time, you have to come to the conclusion of where we are right now. And every day for me, it's just another check mark. One more day, another day he's gone. Another day, we're closer to another day where he'll be gone. That's pretty sad as a citizen to say we're one day closer to when he's gone. But that's, I mean, because of these stupid things that he continually does, the crap that comes out of the marbles, chips that are falling out of his mouth because he's not equipped to even lead. And here's another perfect example that he showed his colors, that he buckled under the pressure from the WNBA. He buckled from Black Lives Matter. He buckled from the pressure and said, no, we are not going to negotiate and we're not going to come to the table unless part of the agreement is to release both Americans. Not one, both. Because, well, let's think about that. Who got the better deal? Who got the better deal? Well, if you want to call it a better deal, from the other country's perspective, they're like, yeah, baby, we scored. And citizens over here are saying, no, we didn't score. Because not that anyone wishes her harm. That's not what we're saying. She does deserve to come home. She is an American. I don't like her, but she is an American. But the whole gamut of all these things that transpired in this one big news week, with all of these different things and pieces going on, I said, you know what? Breathe, pray, and check off the calendar. One more day closer to he's gone. That's all. As Americans, we can't do anything. The guy's in there. Illegitimate as it is. And yeah, I went there because of what's being released with Elon Musk. I mean, it's obvious And the other news cycle that we didn't chat about really was even in Georgia. And, there's no words there either, because especially, where you already had information that connects him, Warnock, he's already admitted, I can't even believe he's a minister, the crap that comes out of his mouth and everything that he stands for. And then you have all of that knowing what he stands for, but then you realize all these files, because a lot of those files were released before the election day, and you still voted this moron in?
Well, you know what? The people that voted for him,
Gotta live with them.
get what you voted for.
Well, the problem with that piece, though,
Is that everyone else suffers. I know that.
we are all stuck with this moron, another moron.
Oh, and another thing that came across my news alerts this morning was, I think she's from Arizona, Representative Kristen Sinema is leaving the Democratic Party.
Oh,
She's registering as an independent.
well, good for her. Like Gabby.
Like Gabby Tulser.
Yeah, I mean, and I still go back to, the differences between the two major parties. You have one party that has no issues calling out their own, understanding what the deep state means. So a lot of people still think the deep state is only reference to one party. It is not. It references to all parties if you're in that schmuck, poo-poo, deep doo-doo, okay? One side has no trouble calling them out. I'd call any of them out, because if you're not doing the service and adding value to the American citizen, I'm calling you out. And then the flip side of that is the other side, because a lot of people say, why do they keep voting these very evident bad apples, bad actors? Because they're not about America first. They don't even like the term America first. They don't like that. It's for them, it's party above God, party above country, party above family. Always. Because they say, like, why do they keep voting them in? Like, I don't get it. Other than there's obviously some shenanigans going on with elections. We know that. And anyone who's got their head in the sand, well, keep burying yourself because you're foolish. But there are people that still vote for these wackos in there because their mentality, they are so programmed, party above all. And that's the big difference. And what's happening is the moderate Democrat is struggling with that. Rightfully so. They are struggling with that. And that is why you're seeing some say, look at, I don't want to go to the other side, but I got to be more independent. I got to be more free thinking to figure, my ideologies out and where they align and with whom they align. And that's that struggle. And the same thing with your health and wellness. You struggle through the holidays. Where do I have that sweet spot of being able to enjoy food, making sure that I'm mindful of the crap that I'm watching. I said, like, after today, I'm like, I think I'm just gonna watch Hallmark movies because my blood boils when I wear my heart on my sleeve. And when I think about some of this stuff, it will impact. If I keep going down that road, it's going to impact my health and wellness. I feel my heart like pounding out of my chest when I talk about these different subject matters. It's not easy because I know I have a lot of, I call them friends, asterisk friends who claim they're friends, but because they're on the opposite side of ideology beliefs, we've kind of like distanced ourselves, and I'm fine with that. But I'm not going to change who I am because I believe, we have to have a safe place to talk about this stuff. We have to find an outlet that we can, even though we know without doubt we are only in control of so much. We can only do so much, and but it's that time where you're presented with things, whether it's deciding what sweets you're going to eat, or what news channel you're going to listen to. Like they're all relevant, and we have to really be mindful of what we are exposing ourselves, but also make sure that we're accountable for our decision making. Okay, if I'm going to eat that piece of chocolate cake, guess what? Maybe there's going to be a few days where I'm going to go to houses and there's going to be other treats, and I'm just not going to eat them because I really, I want to have that chocolate cake. And it's about negotiation. And the same thing with what's going on in our world. Negotiate what you're going to allow your mind to be influenced by, and or be open-minded to understand, like, ooh, this is kind of this is a subject that's going to rev me up. So I got to go to the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did last night. I watched this real cheesy Christmas movie, but you have to.
How about the acting though?
It's cheesy.
Oh yeah, it's cheesy. All right.
Very cheesy.
But sometimes you need cheese without the fat.
And without the wine.
And without the wine, yeah, absolutely. Wine's full of sugar.
On that note, it is Fantabulous Friday. I know today was kind of a hot topic type of day. That's what it's all about with us, being authentically us, sharing what we're passionate about, and how these things do, how we nurture our minds, but also how we nurture our bodies. And with that, my name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0. Get your thrive on with Two
Sisters, and this is Carol, so aka Naughty Boss. I'm actually wearing the beta testing, which we didn't know that we were beta testers. So this is the, for those of you that can't see, I am wearing the third generation or Thrive DFT 3.0. So it's a different delivery system on it. There's 3 layers, and boom, that is getting into my body. So I had someone, I have the card in the shop, and he was asking me all about that. So we were chatting. It is good to share what we are passionate about. Remember to celebrate you. Today is a day that we call it Fantabulous Friday because we want to celebrate our wins, no matter how big, no matter how small. It doesn't matter. They're all stepping stones to get us to where we want to go. And guess what? And then it's going to lead us to another journey. How exciting that is. We wish you a great weekend. Again, another weekend filled with all kinds of holiday spirit, parties, parades, being around people that we care about and love. So we hope that you guys have a fantabulous weekend, and we will see you Monday for Monday Mindset, winding down to Christmas. We're pretty excited about that. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Yeah.